Hi everyone, welcome to FilmDirt. This is my review for The Rise of Skywalker. Overall, I think it's better than The Last Jedi, but only slightly. But there's still so much wrong with this movie that doesn't make sense. And in that way, it's very similar to The Last Jedi. There just seems to be a lot of individual steps that just don't make sense or have any relevance to what happened before. So let's go through a few things that I noted. We've got Rey as the chosen one. Is she the chosen one? So that retcons what we've seen before with Anakin being the chosen one. And she seems very overpowered to me. There's some good training montage type scenes of her floating and running and using the saber, and that's all good, but I'm puzzled as to what her powers are. And as with Anakin, I'm wondering what makes you the chosen one. So if you are Palpatine's daughter or granddaughter, does that make you the chosen one, or are you just a descendant of the dark side? Because the chosen one is the light side of the force that brings balance to equal or more significant than the dark. I don't know. It's not really a religious theme. It's just something to think about, isn't it? That part is good. I like the fantasy aspect of yin and yang and sugar and spice and what, all these parallels that either need to be equal. What I'm trying to break down is, why is she suddenly overpowered? Now a Skywalker. I assume she just declared herself the title, and that's good, where you can just continue the name because you trained under the Skywalkers, Luke and Leia. She mentions that Leia trained her, even though I don't think Leia was a full Jedi, although she had the Force, as demonstrated in The Last Jedi. Yeah, I can see that plausibly being a title. You don't want to carry around the name Palpatine for the rest of your life, do you? So I can see that. I don't see what the issue was with there, although it is a little bit strange just to say you're a Skywalker, or just to leave her name as Rey. She's her own person. That wouldn't have made such a great last scene, but I don't know, there's something wrong with just calling yourself a Skywalker just for the sake of it. In that case, the title of the movie should have been Rise of the Skywalker, because I think having a "the" just means a title rather than a name to me. Otherwise it says that it is a Skywalker when she's not really. It's just a title. So The Skywalker, Rise of the Skywalker would have been a more clearer title. Possibly. That's just what's going on in my head. So we've got a few instances here in the first half of the movie where it just seems like a computer game. You have to accomplish one task to move on to another and to move on to another. You've got what Hitchcock called MacGuffins. Back in the day, if there was an object that needed to be found or used to advance the story, Hitchcock would call that a MacGuffin. So we've got the Jedi texts, the Jedi books, that tell you how to get the Sith dagger. And from the Sith dagger there is an inscription that tells you where the Wayfinder is. And the Wayfinder is what tells you where Palpatine is. It's just a collection of individual scenes, and it's all left to the last movie to do it, rather than advancing the story in the two previous movies. I've got a suggestion that I thought would have made more sense. If Rey is so overpowered, if you like, and suddenly acquiring these powers, instead of finding all these MacGuffins, why doesn't she just use the Force? She can meditate and summon voices from the past, and that would have been an opportunity to get some cameos from previous actors, or even Hayden Christensen, because if he was once with the dark side, then he would know where the dagger is. Surely he could, if the Force is all encompassing, maybe he would know even though he wasn't there to hide it. I don't know, it's just what I'm thinking. Just use the Force, that's what the whole point of Star Wars is, isn't it? We've got this mythical Force, and Rey seems to have a lot of it. So just meditate. We don't need a Wayfinder, we don't need a Sith dagger. And all of this just creates a lot of padding in the movie. There isn't a fantasy, it's just a video game. So, I found this movie so tiring. I've got to be honest, guys and gals. Right, the Knights of Ren. These guys were not established enough, and it was a very good plot device that we could have carried over from the previous two movies. We could have had Kylo Ren like getting the gang back together and fully realised in this movie, but they were just like background shadows. We didn't really know who they are. I don't think we established enough that they possibly came from Luke's Jedi school and defected. All of them? Yeah, that I could believe that they all defected, and that puts the balance of the Force out of balance, because suddenly there's more dark side users than good. So I can see that if we're going to analyse it that way, that part, that's reasonably good. But we just didn't see that enough of the Knights of Ren. That could have been the main villain instead of introducing a new one in Pride, Admiral Pride, another new character. So, again, that character should have been established in an earlier movie. And now Finn has got a new character as well. His friend, I think she's an ex-Stormtrooper, is she? Now, again, a new character established in this movie should have been a previous character. And maybe if Kylo Ren has the Knights of Ren as a gang, maybe Finn could summon other ex-Stormtroopers and have some evidence of him doing that in an earlier movie. Like a fifth column, like let's be like a secret society, and then we're going to club together and defeat the Empire. There could have been hints of that previously, and it's all just left as a brand new device almost in this movie. Finn's role is wasted. It's very downscaled here because you've got other elements which is taking front and centre stage. Let's talk about Palpatine. There should have been evidence of him in the background in an earlier movie. Or maybe just a hint, so something that we can carry over to this movie, not just have a brand new movie. So suddenly Palpatine is here, and he made Snoke in a jar, and he had this Empire army buried underground. How was that able to happen? Suddenly there's an armada of Empire ships that look just like the original Trilogy ships, and now he's got a load of them that looks like your laptop wallpaper, doesn't it? Where you've just got lots of images replicated, just far too many. And along with all the Empire ships, don't you think we've got too many Galaxy ships at the end where it's just people? That's a good device, but do we need like a wallpaper image? It's just far too many. And why would everyone come at that point? Are you going to obviously shoot each other? Does it need to be that? Does it need to be that many? Just visual stuff happening. And also we've got this festival as well. I don't know the point of that scene. It just seems to be more padding. And they fly now. Did it really get us anywhere? It could have been condensed a bit more and have more of an objective to it rather than just more stuff, visual things on the screen. And this was also, did this follow the scene where C-3PO had to be rebooted to decode the Sith dagger? And that ties in with the earlier MacGuffins, because now standing in the way of this objective is C-3PO unable to decode Sith inscriptions we need to take him somewhere to be rebooted in safe mode. So it is a video game, isn't it, guys? It's just accomplish this task and then you can do this task and this task, and just use the Force, guys. Just have Rey meditate and find the vision, find the way, into your mind, into your heart, and let's have the Force taking centre stage. All this other guff is just nothing, an excuse to have a collection of scenes that don't accomplish anything. I mean, it just seems like a fan movie. I mean, the festival was very pretty. The ships in space, it's all very pretty, and that was a good end battle as well. And they've landed on the ship, and they're not using speeders, they're using horses. Yeah, that's all good. That's all good. But we can use less of the pretty eye candy and actually have a story that comes from within and comes from previous movies. We've got a separate movie again, like The Last Jedi was a separate movie. Now, I was a little bit underwhelmed when JJ took over Star Wars in The Force Awakens. I just don't think he was that caliber a storyteller to be able to do it. I mean, even when George Lucas was rusty, he still had an overall story. And there was things established in The Phantom Menace that carried over to Attack of the Clones, which told even more story and expanded on that with the political aspect mirroring Hitler and the Third Reich's methods. I'm not a historian, but there is things in there that mirror what Palpatine's methods were, and then elements of that carried over to Revenge of the Sith. And even in the original trilogy, there was a lot of continuation. But here it's just, JJ directed 2 of these movies. They still didn't link too much. There's just not enough carried over from the previous 2 movies to this one. And we're talking about just padding here, light speed skipping. Yeah, I don't know what the significance of that is. Couldn't they just fly away and burst an engine if they wanted to show the limitations of what they did and how they got out alive? It's all just an excuse for pretty visuals. There was just too many of these. I know they were hampered a bit by the very sad passing of Carrie Fisher before filming of this movie, and they established the character of Leia very well. I thought the little bit we got was fantastic, and I thought it was well integrated. But that's really no excuse. I mean, we can still have a voiceover of her if they needed to have more of a Force-like factor. I think that would have been so much more if Luke and Leia were guiding Rey, if she meditated, instead of all these MacGuffins having to be met before we can progress. And did we really need a Sith dagger? And there's been no mention of it in any previous movie. So I haven't read Colin Trevorrow's version had he directed this. I just think having 3 separate directors allowing to write 3 separate scripts wasn't the way to go. We should have had an overall showrunner to sculpt a progressive script over the 3 movies. As it stands, this is very pretty. A lot of the main cast, they're all great. I'm sorry, it's a terrible, terrible movie. Really disappointing end to the Skywalker saga. And like I said before, I'm not a die-hard fan. I just appreciate good movies and good storytelling. And this isn't good storytelling. It's just a fan film with a collection of moments that look great, but there's no soul here. There's nothing that means anything. Just like in The Last Jedi, it's almost a similar movie. And the trilogy started well with The Force Awakens, even though some say it mirrored the formula of A New Hope. And in some ways it did slightly. I don't think that was a major thing. You know, you have to have our characters in peril and they achieve this to get here, and you know, and there's still the force that has to be awoken. That's nice, and it was a nice movie, but completely ruined by the next two movies. Right, let's have a score for this. I think it's marginally better than The Last Jedi. I think it's a 2-star movie. Only on the basis that a lot of the events of these two movies just don't mean as much as similar events meant in the original trilogy, and even in the prequel trilogy, which made more sense than this. So, that's my review, guys, and that's my roundup of the Skywalker saga. Some great movies here, some interesting movies for sure, and a few not so great movies. I think Disney should have applied more preparation with these three. These aren't good, and that's a shame. I'll leave you there for now, guys. And just to finish off with a little bit about myself, I've got some new reviews coming, and all my reviews are unbiased and absolutely genuine. I don't accept any free passes or tickets or any promotional incentives from any of the studios. So, thanks again, guys. It was great talking to you. Join me again for another review soon. Take care, all the best.